Hey guys, for y'all that's new to the channel, this is the Passive Money Podcast. Yeah, we know it's a podcast where we sit there and talk in an office all day and all the boring yada yada. So we try to get out here and get out in the community to show y'all different things on the financial literacy landscape to give you more education on where your money should go and how your money should work for you, and things of that nature, and just passing out financial literacy to the masses. And again, we're just normal everyday people just trying to pass out the information that we've learned through our time winning with money to pass along to you. Today we out here at the
Riverstone.
All right. Today we out here at the Riverstone community. We're gonna go through a couple new construction builds, just give you an insight of what it looks like, you know, the pros and the cons of the new build versus the pre-existing house, and things that you should look at and understand when it comes to buying a house. With all that being said, let's go to the site.
So Kirby, what is your opinion on brand new homes versus used homes when you are a first-time home buyer?
Oh, so what aspects of the new home versus the...
As far as cost, like, you know, initial upfront cost or the expense of buying a home and all the factors that you have to consider.
All right, first let's just talk about how new homes are priced. So understand what they do is things like lumber and things like that. So this lumber here, let's say the 2x4 here costs $1, and I'm talking about pre-COVID when lumber was fairly cheaper. But let's say lumber costs $1. What the home builder does is they just multiply the cost of every material in the house times 3. So you wonder why they multiply times 3. Of course, the first cost is the cost that they paid for the lumber. The second cost is the cost that they're going to pay for labor, and then the third cost is their profit. So that's how they price for a home. So for every 2x4, let's say this one costs $1. It costs $1. They're going to charge you $3 per. So just multiply that by the number 2x4, 2x2s, 4x4s, plywood, sinks, towels, curtains, everything, cinder blocks. Everything is multiplied by 3s, and that's how they come up with the price of the home. So they can sell the home at an attractive price, they can pay for the labor, and they have room for their profit. So when we had that big surge in lumber costs and the lumber costs went up 1,000%, then the cost that it cost them to buy the lumber went up 1,000%. They're still using the same math of times it by 3. So that's why the homes in the same neighborhood, I had a friend, they bought a house in his neighborhood for $200,000 maybe a year or two ago, but now the same house, same size and model and things like that is going for around $400,000. And that's the difference between how they price a new home and then they price a pre-existing home. For pre-existing homes, it depends on the supply and demand of the area, or you know, the dynamics of the area, or if this is a new happening spot, or if everybody wants to move into this zone or something like that, the schools are getting better, or this became the new hub. So in here in Florida, as everybody will see in the slide next to me, Florida has become one of the hottest markets in the United States. So the demand is driving real high. So now the homes that was going for maybe $100,000, $200,000 a year ago is going for $300,000 and $400,000 now. So that's the dynamic of pre-existing versus a new home. The new homes are built. It has some supply-demand dynamics in there also, especially if more people come in and buy the houses, they will jack up the price of new builds higher, but it's usually based off the cost of materials times 3, and then that's how they come up with their price. And then existing homes is usually the supply and demand in the area, and if the demand and people want to move here, the prices go higher based on counts in the area and things like that.
All right, so Kirby, another question. So we just spoke on first-time home buyers for, you know, a house that they might live in. What about for a home or an investment property, I should say, for someone looking to invest in real estate? Should they buy used or should they buy brand new, or is there any kind of anything specific on that an investor should look for?
Well, in investment, it always comes down to the numbers. And what I mean by it comes down to the numbers is based on how much can you get the property for? If you can, let's say we can get this property right here for $300,000. Let's just say we can get it for $300,000, but we can rent it out for $2,500 a month. Then getting this property would seem like a good idea if you can rent it out for $2,500 a month, because it'd be lower maintenance costs, lower cost on, you know, worrying about things breaking down, because everything will be pretty brand new. But it all comes down to numbers. Now, if you got to get this house and you got to pay $700,000, the only thing you can get is $2,500 in rent from it, then is it really worth it? So when it comes down to, depending on new homes or pre-existing homes, when it comes to rental property, it's all based on the price that you can purchase it at, maybe if you're using leverage or if you're just buying it outright, and the multiples that you can sell it for so you get your return on investment. It comes down to return on investment 9 out of 10 times when it comes to rental property. The return on investment is the most important part for an investor. So when it comes to the dynamic of, hey, we're going to buy a new or buy a used, it's just based on the rent you can get in the area and how fast your return to capital can be. If you can get a return to capital from a new home of the 20-25% range, then great. But if you can't, then you might want to go to an existing home and find a deal to get your numbers to fit the metrics that you and your family is looking for as an investor.
All right, so Kirby, you have built a home, I just learned this, and you have purchased a pre-existing home. What is your opinion on the two?
Well, pre-existing homes are great, new homes are great, and then I understand the emotional impact of it when you buy it. Build a brand new home is, oh, I bought a home that nobody else lived in, I don't have to worry about what people before me did, and that's all great. And then pre-existing home is great also, especially when you first coming out and you're trying to buy a house and you want to get a deal. Then probably pre-existing home will give you the best angle to get a better deal on a home. So I did it a little in reverse. My first home that I ever bought was a brand new home, right? My first home I built from the ground up. It was a great experience. It taught me a lot, but one thing that it did teach me was, when I'm building a home from ground up, is to actually get everything that you want for the long term. All right, sorry, we trying to deal with the wind out here, so we decided to stop instead of keep on walking looking foolish. All right, but the thing is when you get a prefab home, or as you consider built from the ground, and it looks like almost the finished condition of this right here, is understand everything that you put in this house, you're financing on a 30-year fix. So, and when you buy these prefab homes, it only comes with certain models and certain dimensions that you're allowed to pick from, like carpet in each room. Even though if you don't want carpet, you have to select carpet, and then the countertops and things like that. So when you're building a home like this, and you're in a community and it's a builder, and it's only free prefab models that you can adjust your house to, understand everything that you're buying is going into that loan. So no matter if you change it out or not, you're still paying for those same fixtures that's in there. So when you building a home like this, you want to focus on, hey, everything that I want a home, understand, just use it until it's gone and then update. I see a lot of people getting these prefab homes, and then a lot of the options that they want to get, they can't get with the builder, so they let the builder put the, you know, their standard stuff in there, and then they rip it all out and then put all their, you know, granite, marble, and all that other extra stuff out there, removing the carpet. But understand, in your loan, you're still paying for all that stuff that you threw out into the trash that you're not using no more. So, and I learned that when I built my first home, because of course you get in there and then you see things you want to tweak and quirk, and then you realize, like, wait, I'm still paying for the stuff that I just changed out, and you're gonna be paying for that for 30 years in a mortgage. Or if you follow the Dave Ramsey and you do 15 years, you're still gonna be you're still paying for exponential of what that stuff costs, and then now you added more money on top of that with the stuff that you bought. All right, so for me, in the pre-existing home that I live in now currently, I found the best model was to get a pre-existing home that had little to no upgrades, because I already knew from the first, when I built the house, that I was going to change things. So I got it for little to no upgrades, and I got the best price possible. And then I still, when I moved in for years, I just used the stuff that was in that property until it started to break down, and then I systematically changed things out. So I went from Formica countertops to granite countertops. I went from tile floors to plain vinyl floors. I went from carpet in the bedrooms to bamboo flooring. I went from the normal standard shower tub with the shower head in there to a stand-up shower with the garden tub in the back. Then remodeled systematically throughout time, because I don't want to, even though that I paid for the property the way it was, I want to actually use the stuff that I'm paying for, because even though I'm not on a 30-year or 15-year, but what I did was I realized I paid for that stuff, so I want to get the most use out of it as I can. And then when that stuff started to break down, then I upgraded along the way to get the property that I have now, you know, with the granite and, you know, hanging lights and all that other bougie stuff that people have. But it wasn't just a quick flip of, hey, I just paid X amount for this property and everything that's inside of it, let's just trash it and throw it all to the side, even though I just paid for it, and just add more money on with upgrades and just sit there and live happily ever after. So when it comes to, for me, I like the pre-existing home if it's a newer age. Let's say it's 10, 15 years old now. I'm not into buying the 1920s home, because it's gonna be so much thing. You got lead paint, you got copper pipes, you got all that other stuff in there. I'm not into that. But if it's a home that's 15, 20 years old, and I could buy a pre-existing, get a better deal than building a new home that I know I won't like all the fixtures or the prefab setups that they have, I'd rather go that route if I can go the cheaper route. But whichever you choose, make sure it's always, you're looking at it from a financial aspect of it, because either way you're going to pay, but you want to pay as less as possible. So Alex, you just built a home recently. What was your process as you went through it? Did you see things that you wanted that the builder could not achieve that you may want to change in your house? And how are you going to go about that dynamic?
So the first house that I looked at actually before I built a home it had the same kind of renovations and remodels that I liked, but it was a used home. So I loved how it looked inside and wanted that exact style. But the water heater was from 1998. I believe the house is a little too small. I really like the style, but as far as other things I would have had to come out of pocket for to spend, I figured going with the builder would have been a lot easier, because I could pick the exact style and model that I wanted. With the used home, I think it came out to $187 for that house, which was, I think, 1,100 square feet or 1,200 square feet. The house I'm in now is 1,500 square feet, and it was roughly around the same price. We paid $213. But in that case, we got to pick everything that we wanted. It was a brand new house, which to me was a surprise, because I thought buying a brand new home would have cost a lot more than buying a used home. That came as a surprise to me when I found out that's not true. We also got to pick which lot we wanted on, so I explained to Kirby there are 3 different options. We could pick a lot with a neighbor right behind us, or we could pick a lot with a lake in the back, or pick a lot with marsh in the back. So in the beginning of this video, you probably saw a lake. A lake view like that cost us $5,000, which, coming from Tampa, was a surprise to me, because a lake home in Tampa would cost you about $60,000, $70,000 more, just because you got water in the back. So being in a different city in Florida, getting a lake view for $5,000 compared to marsh in the back, which consists of, you know, spiders, snakes, all kinds of things, which would have been $10,000, and then a neighbor directly behind me, which I didn't want, would have been a $2,000 property or lot. So going with the lake view, really do like that feature. So there's a lot of things I think as a new time home buyer, people may think building a brand new home would be more expensive, but I learned from experience that that's not always the case.
Very true. So with your new home being built, is there certain things in there now that you want to change, and what are you going, and if that is the case, what are you going to do about the change that you want to make?
Yeah, there are some things I would like to change. Not right now at this moment. Like Kirby said, you want to use everything. You know, if it's brand new, my house is only about 2 years old. You know, get the best out of it. I mean, there's nothing in my house that's damaged or, you know, in terrible condition. So, you know, there's maybe some features I would like to add in the future. some of the bougie stuff, but right now I know it's not necessary. So that'll come in time. You know, also looking at it from, you know, the house you live in, it's not, you know, it's not returning you any money. So buying anything for your home, think of it as this is going to be an expense. Even if it might add property value, you know, it's not putting money into your pocket. So in the future, yeah, there'll be stuff like countertops or bathroom features. Had no idea Kirby's bathrooms have bamboo floors, so that's pretty nice. So maybe might consider something like that. But yeah, that'll come down the road.